I don't know how much time we have, but we can actually go straight into the questions.
We only have about 10 minutes, unfortunately, for Q&A, so if you guys have questions, it would be great if you ask your questions before you went to sort of topics on the film. So, does anyone have any questions? Right there?
I understand that you were telling the movie from his perspective, but given the role that his family played, it was fascinating that even at the funeral, they identified who his wife and son was.
That would, good question. There was, from the beginning, I never wanted to include his family. It was a solitary, as a singular take of his life. He's a marathon man, and I wanted to parallel his driving one day before the accident. Going into the love story, going into the family would litter that one-sidedness of the story. It is, he mentions them. I mean, he's a bit detached. He's a bit, because he's so much into his running and into his nation and into his not only the glory but his overcoming his hardship. But apart from that, I think it's we just want it to be like a singular tale of a man.
I'd like to first of all congratulate you on that.
Thank you very much.
And just ask, I really enjoyed the editing of your movie and wonder what you might have drawn on from other films or who might have influenced you in the way you composed it.
The editor is also the co-director, co-producer, so David Frankel. We basically did the whole thing together. He was an editor before he became a director. It's a good question. I grew up watching the archives as a kid. A lot of Ethiopians have watched him on television, just in Tokyo and others, and also in Rome. So it was very important for me in the script initially to incorporate his driving 9 years later, and the road that is kind of haunted and kind of reminiscent of Rome that happened 9 years ago. And it's a matter of having those images that I had in my childhood and how they were, it is also how to guide them and blend them into the enactment. And the editor, Davey, really understood this idea, and that's how he kind of made it seamless. Yes?
You, the filmmaker, tell us a little bit about your background, where you studied, and how you get funding for the film.
Could you guys hear that question? No, he actually said he wanted to know my background, if I was a filmmaker. And actually, I'm not a filmmaker. I was not a filmmaker. I'm visiting the industry. It's my first time acting, my first time doing everything. I went to college to study geology. And I am kind of an avid tennis player. But like any kid, I grew up watching TV, and I loved the Russian films that I used to watch in the 80s back home in Ethiopia. They influenced me a great deal. I just had this urge of sharing this story to Americans, because I lived here 22 years. I remember in 1989 there was a beautiful article written about him. But all along I would be hearing in the television just about J.C. Owens and Gretzky and Jordan, Michael Johnson, and all these great American athletes. And I said, look, it's about time to talk about ours. And that also explains the reason why I call him the athlete, because he was neglected. I think in 1999 they voted most of the magazines and most of the places in America voted towards the millennium. They voted the greatest writers, the greatest films, the greatest athletes, and he was not even top 100. And I I said, if that's the case, then I'm going to make him the athlete. So I had this urge in the first part of the film and throughout the film to think of him as the greatest athlete of the millennium. And everybody that is mentioned in America or Europe comes under him. It is not a matter of, no, it's not a matter, it's just to help make him more like he descended from this Olympus, the shepherd who conquered Rome. Stuff like that really helps you creatively to make him this Trojan. And then he loses his legs, and then what? Then it's going to be the Asian dawn. So then, the Asian dawn, then he loses his legs, then he becomes this Paralympian. Then he goes to the Nordic, and then he conquers the North, and I don't think there has been any athlete who's gone through that versatile. And I think it's about time. And bare feet, I mean, come on. It's about time that we really get down with reality and talk about this. And so that's why I call him kind of the athlete, and I went with that.
Can you talk a little bit more about Abdul's barefoot running? Did he grow up barefoot running?
Actually, he grew up running. He was a shepherd, so he grew up on a horseback. There wasn't really much school when he was a child. He grew up in the mountains, way in the countryside. He actually started running competitively when he was 24. When he was in the military, and 28 was Rome, 32 was Tokyo, 36 was Mexico, where he passed on the torch to the other guy, and Munich was Jesse Owens, where he was paralyzed. So that becomes more like a bookend. He was at the end, he was a master of ceremony. And the most important thing I want to add is it was Jesse Owens. I really wanted to put that at the end of the film, including my partner, is because Jesse Owens was one person who had shown his who had triumphed in Berlin. And at the end of there, I see that picture and always think about these two old lions sitting, one who had conquered Berlin, the other one who had conquered Rome and Tokyo. These were the axes that had waged war in the world, and where 100 million people had died. So with their feet and through the Olympics, two men who are the aging sitting next to each other, and then they kind of sum up the century by saying that we have conquered Berlin, you have conquered Rome, and you have conquered people. They were the protagonists of these three Olympiads that kind of summed up everything.
We have time for one more question, sorry.
Yes?
You obviously are an athlete yourself, but someone who sees you was paralyzed in rehabilitation. How excruciating was that for you, going through and also the scenes in Norway?
The preparation was excruciating. The preparation was hard to take because I went to the Rest Institute in New York, where they do the rehabilitation with the paraplegics, and some of them were kids, some of them were there who just got paralyzed a week ago or just a week before, and they were I kind of got acquainted with the equipment that they were using and how they would drag their part of the body, and that part was a little bit hard, I would say. But later on, it was more like I played tennis a lot, so I kind of know where my footwork is, kind of connected with what's happening in the lower part of my body, and the director, the cinematographer, was Bulgarian. He kind of also helped me to keep the intensity. He was a great director. The intensity, and I think it came in handy. Yeah, thank you very much.